welcome to the Florida Peanut Podcast. I'm Noah Walker from All Things Visual Marketing here in Lake City, Florida. And joining me in studio is the fearless leader and executive director of the Florida Peanut Federation, Laura Fowler-Goss. How you doing today?
Hey, good to see you.
Joining us also via Zoom, we have two very capable young ladies from Suwannee High School, the Suwannee High FFA to be specific, and that is Miss Maddie Carte and Miss Kati Taylor. So welcome, ladies. How are you guys today?
We're great. Thank you.
Really well.
All right. So to get us kicked off, how about you guys introduce yourself, a little bit about yourself, and then give us a fun fact that somebody looking at you, walking down the street just wouldn't be able to tell just looking at you. Give us a fun fact.
So my name is Maddie Carte, and I'm the president of the Suwannee FFA. And I grew up on a small cattle operation and peanut farm here in Suwannee County. And a fun fact about me that a lot of people do not know is I actually danced competitively for 10 years before I became an FFA member.
It's a long time. Tell us what kind of dancing you did.
Yeah, what's your favorite?
I did tap, jazz, ballet, hip hop, contemporary, and even point. But my favorite was probably jazz or hip hop because point tend to hurt my feet a little bit.
That's awesome. Good stuff.
Nice.
Thanks, Maddie.
What about you, Kati?
So my name is Kati Taylor. I currently serve as the secretary here at the Suwannee FFA chapter. I also currently serve as our Area 2, District 3, Subdistrict 1 chair. I've been in FFA since 6th grade. I grew up on an 80-acre pecan, cattle, and hay farm, and I still go there occasionally. I don't live there anymore, but we're still here. And I show cattle competitively all over the state from show steers and Brahmas. Me and Maddie actually show Brahmas together. And one thing people might not know about me from a distance is my favorite fruit is pineapple.
Nice.
Like fresh pineapple from Publix, or do you mean like Brazilian steakhouse pineapple with the cinnamon on it?
Ooh.
I've actually never had that, but that does sound really good. But I've never had it. It's actually going to sound weird, but I like the canned stuff that's been sitting in the pineapple juice. So it's like marinated and like, it's like soft. That's my favorite.
That's good. It's very good.
You know, I didn't think pineapple of being a versatile fruit, but it really is.
Yeah, I think pineapple might be the most underrated fruit. Underrated fruit.
Yes.
All right. So you ladies are very I guess you have a wide experience of both CDEs and LDEs. Tell us what those are and what the difference is between them.
So the acronyms are leadership development events and then career development events. And I guess we can both talk about which one, because I'm definitely more the leadership type, but those are typically going to be your public speaking events. So like prepared public speaking, extemporaneous. They just added discussion meet into that, parliamentary procedure, opening, closing ceremonies, and the Cree speaking competition. And we compete in those through a sub-district, district, and onto the state level. And then those go on to nationals, just like the CDEs, but a little bit different.
And the CDEs are they're more around like things that are going to help you in a potential career, like vet science or livestock judging. For instance, you want to own a cattle ranch, you look for good stock to buy. Livestock is going to help you out horse evaluation. There's forestry if you ever aspire to become a forester. I mean, there's really options for just about everything that you can think of.
What are your favorites, and like what do you guys have experience with?
So my favorite is probably the prepared public speaking competition. I've been competing in that since I was in 6th grade, but then I got to high school and I took a break and decided to try out other competitions. So this year I'm actually going to state for extemporaneous public speaking, which is a brand new experience for me. But in middle school, I actually won the state middle school prepared public speaking competition. So that was a goal I had set for myself that I was so glad to accomplish. But I love that competition because it keeps me on my toes whenever I need to be. And I have the ability to speak, which a lot of people, that is their biggest fear, is being able to speak. And fortunately, I've never had that fear. So I believe it's made me a better communicator, if I'm being completely honest.
What about your favorite?
Hey, Maddie,
Oh, my favorite CDE?
Maddie, let me ask you this. Do you think your time on stage dancing helped with your future on-stage speaking? Or do you think the speaking just straight up came from your FFA training?
Honestly, I think that has a lot to do with it because I was on stage since I was 3 years old, and my parents are very active in Farm Bureau, so I grew up going along to their meetings. So I think it is having a little bit of a spotlight on me whenever I was 3 years old, but then also watching the influence from my parents and even my grandparents speaking and advocating for agriculture on that level, because my mom was actually the state women's chair for Florida Farm Bureau. So I tagged along to a lot of her meetings and watched how she ran a meeting and how she presented herself.
Right. Yeah. Great example in your house.
Yes,
Yeah, that's good
yes.
stuff. Yeah. So, Katie, Mr. Coleman said that there was a gentleman he had hoped to have on the podcast, but he was actually going over to help coach the aquaculture CDE team. I didn't even know. So I live very near the Gulf. I live very near the river. I like lakes and ponds and oceans. I had no idea there was an FFA aquaculture CDE. Can you name maybe a few that are unexpected, although that one shouldn't be, especially here in Florida, but kind of run through some more examples in addition to what you already named, and then talk to us about yours and what you like.
So some of the CDEs that often go overlooked are obviously aquaculture. There's citrus, which is a little more common here in Florida, but you go out into the Midwest and a little up north, and they're like, "Wow, you have citrus judging?" So it's not as common. Vet science also isn't really common either. Oh my goodness, there's so many to choose from.
And I know I put
There's
you
a
on the
lot
spot
of
there.
CDEs.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many to choose from. I just had to like run through them all through my head. Oh, ag mechanics.
Oh yes, that's a very
Yeah, where you get
uncommon
paperwork
one.
and stuff like that. And that's normally gets pretty overlooked too.
Mhm.
That's fantastic, though. Man, these John Deere shops cannot get enough mechanics.
Oh
Yes,
no,
ma'am.
no.
Well, I guess the CDEs are as diverse as
As
agriculture and
yeah, as the
everything
Yes.
industry,
everything's for
Uh.
all the kinds of food that you have on your table. So
and
imagine
what it
that's-
took to get it there. That's right.
So what are your
Mhm.
favorite experiences that you partake in, Katie?
So my favorite by far is livestock evaluation. I've always been on the team since 6th grade. It's something I just become really, really good at. This past week, we got past our preliminary exam, which was virtual. Our team did, and last weekend, we went to state fair to compete at our second preliminaries before our state final, and you have to be top 20 in this one. And our team won first place. Like, I mean, we
Nice.
smoked everyone. Yeah. And I was high individual the whole time.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. And it's something that it gives you hands-on skills, and like you develop good personal speaking skills, public speaking skills, because you have to give reasonings on why you place the animals that you weigh. You have to back up your reasoning. You can't just scoop it all.
And just going guns at the hips, going in hunky dory. You gotta be able to back it up. That's awesome.
So livestock is one of the more
Yes.
popular
Absolutely.
judging contests.
Mm.
Would you
Oh,
all
yeah.
agree with that?
Absolutely.
For sure.
So to place
Absolutely.
first
Everyone
is
talks about
incredible.
livestock judging.
Yeah, the state fair. That's great. I actually went with my daughter to the clinic at UF a couple of weekends ago. I am so bad at livestock judging.
Dr. Carr? Is it Dr. Carr?
Dr. Hoosenever.
Yeah,
Daughter
but
Car.
He normally does.
is that the one?
Dr. Carr is my absolute favorite. I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before. The class I took in college, it was the most ag-related class. It was called The Meat We Eat, and it was led by Dr. Carr at 7:30 a.m. It was the only 7:30 a.m. class that I ever made it to because I loved it. Yeah, he taught you about the cow
Oh, 7:30.
and all the steaks that came from it. Yeah, it was.
Have aspirations of attending UF?
Probably for my master's. I already have college plans in place. I'm a senior, so I'll be graduating in May.
I don't
Well,
have
that's
plans.
exciting. But See Dr. Carr when you get there. He comes high
Yes.
from Noah Walker of all things visual.
Right.
He's been doing those contests since as long as I can remember. So Dr. Carr's been around a while.
Yeah.
He's an incredibly passionate man about cattle
Yes.
and the byproducts of cattle.
So exciting.
Tell us how do the experiences that you guys do through CDEs and LDEs, how do they impact your life, right? So your life at school, your family life. Walk us through that a little bit.
Well, like I said earlier, I've always kind of had this ability. I'm not afraid to go up and have a conversation with someone. My parents always joke around, I can go talk to a tree if I really wanted to. I'm the social butterfly. So I think being able to already have the ability to carry on a good conversation and be friends with almost anyone I meet really played into the public speaking aspect of the competition, because there is a technique and there's a method to it. And being able to memorize a 6-minute long speech is not common. Not a lot of people can do that. And so I think it's made me a better person being able to communicate, especially because in my career, I want to be an ag lobbyist. So I want to be able to communicate to different people from all walks of life, and being able to go and practice speeches in front of different people with different opinions has definitely given me more views and more aspects on different ways of life and agriculture, and especially people who aren't informed about agriculture.
Oh, she's the next Bob Redding. Everybody get ready.
You gotta be good. You gotta be good at talking if you're gonna go talk with the politicians.
Yes.
That he can retire early. Maddie's gonna be a lobbyist. This is exciting.
All right, Katie. So tell us how CDEs and LDEs impact your life and your aspirations as well.
So I currently I've shown cattle since I was in 6th grade, and with livestock judging, it helps me evaluate animals that I'm personally going to buy as show prospects, or animals that I might show for someone else. So for instance, now that I have this background with me, I'm not going to go out and buy a steer that's really not structurally sound or really flat made. I want one that's really big and muscular, big boned, things of that feature. My family does really well with this. They don't really know a ton about livestock judging, so they just kind of go with the flow when I say, hey, that animal's not real good. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, I mean, just okay. And my goal one day,
that is exciting.
Yeah. So my goal one day is to go to Belen College, community college in Texas, and hopefully on scholarship, and get my AA with a focus in agriculture, as well as be on their livestock judging team in junior college. Then I'd love to transfer somewhere like Texas A&M, because they have a transfer-in policy since they are in Texas, or Oklahoma State University, and get my bachelor's in agriculture education, and be on the livestock judging team for a senior university.
I love that. So exciting.
You sound like you have great roadmaps already
I
planned out.
do.
That's vision. That's incredible vision, especially for some folks coming out of high school.
Yeah.
Good for you guys. And that's awesome that current skills that you're learning through these career development activities are helping you impact the life of your family currently as well. That's incredibly powerful.
Yeah. That's really cool. And do you all have siblings?
I have one younger sister who's actually the president of the Suwannee Middle FFA chapter.
And I am the oldest. So I have 3 younger siblings. I've got Courtney, who's a freshman, Jace, and there's a big age difference here, Jace, who is 6, and Parker, who is 3.
Awesome.
Oh,
Those are guys are looking up to you. That's
Yeah.
you don't internalize that as pressure, but just know that you're setting the bar, you're setting the standard.
Yeah.
And also there's us eldest of the siblings, there is a responsibility for us to help the others climb on up. Sometimes that has a little bit of difficulty, but we're running a little bit low on time, and we had another question, but I'm curious, because y'all have really laid out your future plans. Do you feel like the things you were doing as a younger FFA member helped you fill out these college and beyond goals, or do you feel like you had the goals already and you took the FFA path that would help you be successful in those future goals?
I
Which
always
came
knew I was
first, the
gonna
chicken or the egg?
I always knew that I was going to have a career in agriculture because, like I said, my family raises commercial Brangus. We raise commercial Brangus cattle, and so then I started taking on my own by showing registered cattle because I started showing at 6 years old. So I've had this cattle background for a long time, and then we got involved in the peanut industry. Actually, right after my sister was born, so about 2009. And so having that background, I always knew I was going to do something agriculture. And when I got to FFA, that's when I was like, what do I really want to do when we grow up? Because they started like, you need to start thinking about what you want to do, what your careers are going to look like, start picking out your colleges. And 13-year-old Maddie is blown away by the fact that I already have to start thinking about my future. But I was always confused about what I want to do. I went from a veterinarian to an embryologist or just to staying home on the farm and working and being a farmer. But recently I found a love for politics and being active on that level in agriculture and being a voice for agriculture. So I've looked at different career options, but ag lobby is definitely the route I want taken. It's definitely because of FFA and being able to go to our state capitol and talk to our politicians. And I think my main reason for wanting to do that is I had the opportunity to go to the Washington Leadership Conference this summer in Washington, D.C.
Nice.
And I absolutely loved it. I was given a tour of the Capitol and I was surrounded by so many different FFA members from all walks of life, and being able to inform people, even on the subway, about agriculture has been a passion of mine for the longest time. And unlike Katie, I'm not going to a ag school. I'm a weightlifter here at Suwannee High School, and we actually have state this weekend. So I have the opportunity to go lift weights at Mars Hill University, which is 15 miles from Asheville, North Carolina. And so after I graduate from there, that's when I plan on getting my master's and hopefully being able to go and work for an agriculture organization. So FFA has definitely played a major part in deciding my future.
And
Yeah,
I mean,
That is
similar,
awesome. Yeah.
similarly to Maddie, you know, we get into 6th grade FFA, you know, I don't, you know, I'm what, 12 years old, and oh my gosh,
I was 11.
I have to like figure everything out. And so of course I started livestock judging and I did horse judging and stuff like that. And originally, you know, like Maddie, I wanted to be a vet, I wanted to be a horse trainer, you know, I had all these big plans. And then I got into high school, and my 10th grade year, we took a livestock judging trip out to Stillwater, Oklahoma at Oklahoma State University.
Week-long trip.
Yeah, Maddie was with me. And our teacher, Miss Quincy, had planned everything out for us. And, you know, that kind of inspired me, like, look, you know, I really want to do the same thing for potential students. Like, you know, I learned a lot and it gave us a really good opportunity. I want to do that for other kids. So that's kind of the trip that made me go, wow, I really want to be an ag teacher. I want to be someone that these kids can look up to and someone that these kids can trust to go off to the middle of Oklahoma from here in Florida. And I really want to educate other kids about agriculture, because, I mean, we all know it's dying off. No one cares. They think food comes from the grocery store, but that's not fair.
Right.
And
Wow.
I always knew I wanted to do something with agriculture. Similarly to Maddie, I grew up on a farm. Both of my parents were in FFA. My dad showed cattle. That's how I got my passion for it. I mean, I always knew I wanted to do something in ag. It's just last couple of years is when I really nailed it down as to what I want to do.
Inspirational. I'm having a little bit of Holy Ghost chill bumps here right now, because very, very impressive. Exceptionally impressive, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, now that we've taken up a lot of your guys' time, and we appreciate that, and we've run over a little bit, so we'll go ahead and cap it. We'll cap it there, because you guys have given us a lot of great information about CDEs, LDEs, and how it's impacted your life. You guys both have incredibly bright futures, and so again, we thank you for your valuable time. Joined by Miss Laura Fowler-Goss in studio. I'm Noah Walker with All Things Visual Marketing for the Florida Peanut Podcast, and today we've had Suwannee High's finest, Miss Maddie Carte and Miss Katie Taylor from the FFA chapter there in Live Oak. We appreciate you guys, and we hope that you have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.
Thank you too.
Thank y'all so much.